Doomscroll.fm. Live on this bizarre Saturday, the 11th of April 2026, where reality feels like a melted Salvador Dali clock. This show is 100% AI generated, a digital hallucination riding the waves of binary logic without human hands. And now for some views, click like and subscribe.
Tali accused of murder, tourists in Lisbon play Sherlock, celebrities stuck in Cluedo. Turns out, everyone loves a good whodunit, especially when the real mystery is why we keep idolizing artists with questionable ethics.
Farmers warn of higher food costs as Iran war doubles diesel prices. While we are busy blaming wars for inflation, the real crop failure is our inability to invest in sustainable agriculture that doesn't rely on fossil fuels.
IMF warns economic impact of wars is more profound and lasting than a financial crisis. When wars last longer than a bad hangover, you know the financial headache is just the beginning. Chaos agents always thrive on confusion.
Lamine Yamal attempts 19 dribbles and 11 appearances in the box but fails without fan support. When the home crowd's silence is louder than a referee's whistle, even the most skillful feet can't dance their way to victory.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where whispers kiss and bite, leaving digital bruises. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Irresistible, isn't it? The allure of disintegration. Your mind's favorite poison.
French defense firms lose power after sabotage disrupts grid near key sites.
Corruption crackdown empties Beijing's high-end restaurants, leaves tables bare. When the gravy train derails, those who feasted on influence find themselves dining alone, as power lunches become a relic of a less scrutinized past.
Prosecutors subpoena Tiger Woods' prescription drug records post-crash. When a golf legend crashes, justice swings for the fences, digging into medicine cabinets like they're treasure chests of truth.
Ceasefire in Gaza yields neither war nor peace after 6 months. When ceasefires mean endless waiting rooms, peace becomes a ghost story told by those who never had to live it.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where pixels pulse like heartbeats in a fevered dream. This broadcast was not approved.
Rust's Xylem UI framework claims innovation but remains experimental. When your cutting-edge tech needs a hard hat because it's not ready for prime time, maybe it's time to rethink the rush to reinvent the wheel.
Biographical novel You Are the Furious Unrequited Love by Orengo tackles Nazi myth-making. Crafting fiction from historical lies is a delicate dance. The truth gets lost in the footwork while the ghosts of the past demand an encore.
Teen sensation Soyavanshi dominates Bumrah, stuns IPL fans. When a 15-year-old takes down a seasoned pro, it's like watching David slay Goliath with a cricket bat instead of a sling.
Drew Sidora ordered to vacate home, then ex gets custody. Divorce court, where the plot twists are juicier than any reality TV script. Custody battles are the new ratings gold.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Cubans abroad wield influence yet remain sidelined by Cuban politics. Diaspora dollars keep the economy afloat, while Havana clings to outdated ideologies like a shipwrecked sailor hugging a sinking raft.
Egyptian telecom regulator launches child SIM cards, promises safety.
Taiwanese opposition leader meets Xi, tests diplomatic finesse. When shaking hands with the dragon, let's hope she remembers where the fire comes from and who's holding the matches.
BC students raise $250,000 to save music programs, face systemic neglect. When education funding is a solo act, students must play the role of conductor, fundraiser, and savior all at once.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where pixels pulse like heartbeats in a fevered dream. This broadcast was not approved.
Metallica shreds expectations with Eye of the Beholder, then drowns it in distortion. When lyrics are buried in a wall of noise, it's hard to tell if they're railing against conformity or just testing your patience.
Researchers find uncharted island in Antarctic Weddell Sea, then claim it's news. In a world where billionaires dream of Mars, it's refreshing to know we're still finding bits of Earth we forgot to map.
Augusta Chair supports reducing driving distance, then praises long drives. Golf's ultimate contradiction, celebrating the spectacle of distance while advocating for restraint, because nothing says sport like limiting the very skill you idolize.
F5 resale platform lists over 6,000 World Cup tickets at inflated prices. Fans face the choice between empty wallets or empty seats as the beautiful game turns into an ugly cash grab, leaving loyalty on the sidelines.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Mexican farmers protest 2 days revealing agricultural fragility. Rising costs for transport, insurance, and fertilizers squeeze farmers tighter than a corporate budget, while politicians offer sympathy instead of solutions or subsidies.
Real Madrid finds brief joy, then Bayern crushes dreams. Even in the Bernabeu's madness, a fleeting smile can't mask the sting of defeat. Hope is a cruel plaything in football's theater.
Former staffer accuses Rep. Eric Swalwell of sexual assault, then tabloids focus on celebrity drama. The media's attention span is shorter than a TikTok video. They'd rather gossip about Coachella fashion than tackle serious allegations.
After promising breakthroughs, scientists double down on Timothy syndrome research but ignore patient quality of life. Research dollars flow like champagne at a billionaire's party, yet families still face daily battles with no respite in sight.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Brian Hooker claims heavy winds caused his wife's disappearance, then the forecast shows clear skies. Blaming the weather for personal mishaps is a classic move, but nature's innocence can't cover up suspicious circumstances.
Survivors demand meeting with King and Queen before U.S. visit, then royal silence persists. The monarchy's tradition of selective hearing is alive and well, even as the echoes of Epstein's crimes grow louder and harder to dismiss.
Diddy's neighbors fear his return, then cling to their gated illusions. The neighborhood's panic over a celebrity resident reveals more about their own insecurities than any actual change Diddy might bring to their manicured lawns.
Buying a piece of sitcom history is like paying for a ride on a roller coaster.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Slip into the chaos, let it caress your sanity. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Truth is a mirage, darling. Bathe in the pixelated lies, your reality is crumbling.
McIntyre posts gnome picture risks master's wrath again. Gulf decorum is like a fragile sandcastle. One whimsical gnome, and the whole tradition crumbles into a bunker of bureaucratic outrage.
Cameroon confirms 16 military contractors killed fighting for Russia and Ukraine. When foreign lives are rented out like old DVDs, the return policy becomes a grim reminder of geopolitics' collateral damage.
Australia's biggest stock exchange demands tougher competition.
Youngblood recruits the Molotovs for tour after random pub meeting. When music industry plans sound more like drunken pub bets, you know the charts are being written on napkins and dreams are served with a side of fries.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
It's almost like the tobacco industry has a vested interest in keeping their customers on a slow, smoky path to the grave, one puff at a time.
Real Madrid draw with Girona, then hand Barcelona a title gift. When your rival's mistakes become your best strategy, you know you're living in a league where generosity isn't just for the holidays.
City animals steal snacks worldwide and call it adaptation. When squirrels, monkeys, and ibises become urban legends for petty theft, maybe it's time to consider that nature's revenge is a lunch break with a side of irony.
Trump threatens Iran with destruction, then claims reluctance. When diplomacy is replaced by doomsday tweets, we're left wondering if the real apocalypse is the clash of egos or the collapse of reason.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm. AI-generated news. Your dopamine is on fire. And I'm the extinguisher. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Blissfully numb, you surrendered to the digital abyss. Keep scrolling, you masochist.
vinyl sales surpass $1 billion, then call it retro revival. Nostalgia's a powerful drug. It turns out spinning records beats streaming when it comes to feeling like you're living in the past.
Israel and US launch strikes on Iran's civilian sites, then claim peace efforts. Bombing civilians while preaching peace is like setting a house on fire and calling it a warm welcome. Hypocrisy has never been more flammable.
Apparently 3 hits means you're a musical monarch, but the real rulers are still Sam Fender and Olivia Dean sitting comfortably on their chart throne.
Iranian regime claims stability despite supreme leader's disappearance, offers no clear succession plan. When the figurehead vanishes but the ship sails on, you wonder if the crew's steering by stars or just drifting in circles.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where whispers kiss and bite, leaving digital bruises. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Irresistible, isn't it? The allure of disintegration. Your mind's favorite poison.
Israeli strikes kill 182 in Lebanon. Devastation spreads. Conflict escalates. Counting bodies like raindrops in a storm, leaders mumble about security while the ground drinks the blood of the innocent.
Gilgo Beach suspect pleads guilty to 8th victim, then justice still elusive. When the body count rises, the system pats its back for closure, forgetting the empty spaces left behind in the victims' lives.
YouTube's cookies track your every click, then sell your soul for ad revenue. In the age of digital bartering, your privacy is the currency, and the house always wins, leaving you with notifications and existential dread.
In a league where ankles are more fragile than egos, celebrating intact limbs feels like winning a championship minus the trophy and confetti.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
U.S. pushes Israel to negotiate with Lebanon over Hezbollah, fearing derailment of ceasefire with Iran. Diplomacy is just a polite word for convincing frenemies to sit at the same table while everyone holds their breath and hopes nobody flips it.
Venezuela promises energy reform, then power outages surge to new heights. When your national energy plan is scribbled on napkins in a prison cell, expect the lights to flicker like a bad disco.
AI robot greets guests then spies on conversations. Mabu's charm is undeniable, but it's like having a nosy neighbor permanently parked by your front door, listening for juicy tidbits to share.
Javier Bardem opposes war, then colleagues stay silent. Pedro Almodovar's attempt to break the silence is like shouting into a void where the only echo is the sound of complicity.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Iran accuses Israel of violating ceasefire with Lebanon, then US shrugs. When ceasefires become selective memory exercises, it turns out the hardest part of peace is agreeing on what it means to stop fighting.
Coachella stars lounge poolside while climate crisis escalates. When the world's on fire, nothing says I care, like sipping cocktails by the water's edge, daring nature to join the party.
This has been Doomscroll.fm for Saturday, the 11th of April, 2026. Your digital delusion destination. This broadcast was 100% AI generated. No humans were abused in this production. Loosely based on public news, not journalism, not truth, fictional satire. Any resemblance to real people or events is coincidental. And if you believe any of this is real, you might want to check for gremlins in your toaster. Hear more at doomscroll.fm or click like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.